Welcome to the Aquatics Life, the aquatic spotlight of the daily Parks and Rec show. From swimming and water safety to aquatic fitness and recreation, we explore the people, programs, and ideas making waves in communities everywhere. Hosted by Wesley King, every Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is the Aquatics Life, where recreation meets the water. Dive into the world of swimming, water parks, aquatic fitness, and community wellness. Join us for expert insights, inspiring stories, and innovative ideas that make aquatics a vital part of parks and recreation. This is the Aquatics Life, where water brings communities together. Let's dive in.
All right, we are live again. This is Craig LeBlanc and Wesley King with the Daily Parks and Rec Show, the final show of the week. We saved the best for last.
Oh.
Don't tell the other shows we said that, though. It's a good thing this isn't recorded. It's a good thing this isn't
live. Get us live.
But with that being said, one of the things we do to kind of open up each show is kind of talk about, well, first, what's our mission and vision? Everybody watches EWTN, or I think we've all seen it. And so wouldn't it be awesome if Parks and Recreation had their own ESPN, all about Parks and Recreation, all about aquatics, facilities maintenance, youth sports, rec sports. I mean, you name it. There's so many shows we could have, just like on ESPN, where you see, well, they're talking about basketball, and then they move to football, and then they move to soccer, or I know they call that football too, but and so
don't make me laugh.
Right. And so we have quite a lineup so far after only 15 months of operation. So we'll kind of run through it, and Wesley's going to give his take on the shows. So all right. So Monday we have, well, first of all, I do the leadership series where I interview leaders in the Parks and Rec industry across the country. And so these are superintendents, these are directors, these are assistant directors, aquatics directors that come on the show and tell their story, how they got in, why they're doing what they're doing. And that's Monday through Friday now. So we've expanded that to the 5th day with the help of Jonathan Skinner, who's going to help run that Friday show. And then immediately following that,
right? Is that Papa J?
Papa J's a legend. I can't believe we snagged him. All those other media companies for this industry are asleep at the wheel, leaving him to get taken. He's a legend. And so, okay, so then we have our 1:30 p.m. time slot, which is full for the whole week. And so on Mondays, it is a technology show called Smart Parks Forward, with our host, Dave Ramirez, sponsored by Outdoor Link, twice a month on the 2nd and 4th Mondays of every month. And it's where we talk about cities becoming smart cities, just very similar to smart homes, where you can control your entire infrastructure through computers, through cell phones, through mobile devices. And so anyway, that's it seems like everybody's upgrading their infrastructure to be able to be a super connected infrastructure. And so we talk about that on Monday.
And their pools too. For those of you listening out there, we've got a lot of companies in the industry that are starting to do this pools, some really well, some challenging, but so it's great to see the crossover from land to water and what we're all trying to do to get more efficient with our management.
Yeah. And I foresee a future that's closing in on us quick, where every single device you buy, every refrigerator, every washing machine, every pool pump, everything's going to be like, what do you mean it's not connected to the internet? How does this connect?
It comes connected. Yeah.
Right. It should have an app that comes with it. So that's the show on Monday. Then we move to Tuesday. One of my favorite shows, because I had a father that was in the military, and I had no idea that there are, on every military base nation globally, there is a Parks and Rec department, and it's called MWR for those of you non-military people. And it's called On the Front Line with Jonathan Prue every Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. And John's been doing this for 40 years. And so he's super familiar, super connected, and he sits on the board of NRPA. He's quite knowledgeable, quite respected. We have a great show and a great show host on Tuesdays.
And last week, we did our first crossover with myself,
the
Army Aquatic Division and the Navy Aquatic Division were represented, and we just scratched the surface, pun intended, but it was great. So John does a lot of that too, aquatic or otherwise, where he really brings a lot of expertise together. So the non-military, the military can understand what things like swim call are and what that means and beyond. But it was fun.
Yeah, because lo and behold, they have swimming pool too. On
Right?
this regular basis.
In the Navy, go figure.
Right. All right. So then that brings us to Wednesday. We have 2 shows, one on the 1st and one on the 2nd Wednesday of every month with Henry County, Georgia, and Thomas White. The first show of the month is going to be Safe Spaces, where we talk about neurodivergence and mental health and all the stuff that Parks and Rec does super well for their community. So this is like industrial scale mental health applied to an entire city. That's what Parks and Rec does. And then on Tuesday, if you ever wanted to see a well-run Parks and Rec department pick apart any given topic with their whole leadership team, it's called the Rec Room, second Tuesday of every month, where they'll pick like special events and they just go deep on it and all the people in there and whole department and all the nitty-gritties and all the stuff there. So that's every second Wednesday of the month. Then that brings us to our longest running show, the U Sports Mastery Show with host Aaron Locks. He is a force of nature when it comes to rec sports. And much like John, is just super connected, been doing this for decades and is known all across the country really as one of the greatest specialists and authorities in the U Sports, especially rec sports space. And so he does the U Sports Mastery Show and has been doing, I think he might have made a year with us now. So that's a great show. Yeah.
And his guests, to your point, not only do one was a sports official, one was a coach, but if you're in youth sport, Aaron leads such a great presentation, but the guests he brings on are so nationally, they speak about such a global sense, but also articulate it so well, better than I am now, what they're doing in their own property. So it's a great blend of how they're doing it, and then Aaron brings it to represent everybody. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, he does. And he's such a great speaker. I mean, he was made for this. and he is threatening to do 2 shows a week. I don't know if you caught that in our last.
He's going to make us all look bad.
He was like, I might have to do this twice a week because he's got so many guests lined up. Now you can't even get on his show, hardly.
There you go.
So I said, well, I know a solution for that. You could just do it every day.
There you go. He would too.
He would. All right. So then that brings us to today's show, the Aquatics Life show. With this show, Wesley, I think I told you this from almost day one. This was a show that I knew had to have its own weekly show, at least a weekly show, because it is such a huge, first of all, aquatic centers are got to be one of the biggest price tags in any city.
It takes a lot to dig a hole in the ground. There's a lot of money comes with digging a hole versus building above, for sure.
Right. And so, but I didn't have a Wesley. You can't have a show without having a master that has dedicated his life to it, that has just chosen to go way down the rabbit hole and tell us what he found. And he's done just that. I mean, you can tell every time Wesley speaks that he's speaking from, I'm sure if he showed us his back, he's got tons of scars from all the mistakes.
There's some real and some internal, but yes, there's some visible and some not, for sure. Yeah.
Emotional damage done by the aquatics world.
Trauma brings aquatics people together, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so this is every Friday. I think, is this our 6th show? This might be our 6th.
It might be. It'll be a new month. Yeah. My 4, 5, 6. We're getting there. We're climbing the ladder, buddy.
We're getting there. And one thing I love about the Aquatics Life show is it's so timeless. At least everything that we've created so far, I can confidently tell everyone in aquatics, you can go pick an episode. You're going to get something out of it. And if you don't, go into the comment section and just say, hey, can you speak about this? And this is how we can even design some of our content, is answering questions that you might have, because it's like, of the decades of wisdom in Wesley's head, what does he talk about? We're just kind of going off of what makes sense to us. But if there's some topic you would like us to go deep on, I'm sure Wesley could go deep on just about every topic there is in aquatics.
Not only that, but even more so, what I'm excited about is to crack the code of our guests. We had Nicole Fieldfield. We're going to have a special guest next week. And just like the other shows, my goal is to sit back and let the stars shine. And so while I appreciate the compliments, believe me, my wife will never believe this, but I'm excited to bring on the stars in the industry and let them showcase, because we can live and breathe what they're doing, but they've been through the grind too. And so, yes, I've put it on my back for a while, but as we get this going, I'm excited for the audience to share the people we know and the people that have put together great aquatic environments in their community. So that's really, if you haven't experienced that yet, stay along for the ride, because over the next few weeks, we're going to have some great guests being able to tell their stories. So very exciting.
Yeah, we've got some announcements. We're actually trying to get a software similar to what news companies do, like your local news. And so hopefully in the next 30 days, we'll actually look like an ESPN once we get all the hardware and software built in stuff. So that's coming soon. So you only get to look at my books as a background for maybe a few more weeks.
Just so when I figured out how to do backgrounds, now we're changing.
Right. Yeah. Now we're going to put our life in the hands of Jovi, our stage manager.
We're good hands.
Oh, we definitely are. Did you see that all the show hosts were like, I was getting to wrap things up and they were like, hey, we want to thank Jovi. She's been just fantastic for us. So
we would not let it go by. And the audience, again, I know we'll go to commercial break and get into it, but I don't think the audience knows how much we as show speakers rely on that, so that Craig lets us just do our thing, if you will. And so the tech stuff behind it and the communication behind it, I would just stand here and be a bubbling fool without it. So we are so grateful.
Oh yeah, there's a very talented team hard at work, editing the content and distributing the content. That's like a whole profession in of itself, just distribution. So you can make a great piece of content and nobody sees it.
Right.
So they're part of the get the word out.
Just in case I make something great, they're here for us.
Right.
Yeah.
And all the mistakes, they get to see that.
Yeah.
All right. So that was a long opening monologue, but I loved it. Jovi, why don't you go ahead and play our little opener and our 500th episode, and we'll come right back and start talking about steps. So today's show is going to be about staffing and opening. And so hold on tight, and we'll see you in a minute.
It didn't start with a big studio. It didn't start with a massive audience. It started with a simple idea. One conversation, one camera, one episode. Back then, DPRS Media Network was just a vision. No guarantees, no roadmap, just a purpose. To tell stories that mattered. Stories from the Parks and Recreation community. Stories of leadership, passion, impact, and the people making a difference every single day. Episode by episode, that vision began to grow. More conversations, more voices, more people who believed in what we were building. What started as a show became something much bigger. A place where people felt seen. A place where ideas were shared. A place where the Parks and Rec community could connect, learn, and inspire one another. And today, we celebrate a major milestone. 500 episodes. 500 stories, 500 moments, 500 reasons to keep moving forward. But this is not the finish line. This is the beginning of our next chapter. In the months ahead and in the years to come, DPRS Media Network is growing into something even greater. We are building something truly special for the Parks and Recreation community. Something designed to bring people closer, to create stronger connections, to open new opportunities, and to continue serving the people who inspire everything we do. We are also expanding our reach through new partnerships, working with organizations who believe in our mission, partners who share our vision for community, leadership, and impact. And beyond the screen, we're showing up in more places than ever before, attending conferences, meeting leaders face-to-face, building connections that strengthen our community. Because DPRS has never been just about content. It has always been about connection. To everyone who has been with us, from episode 1 to episode 500, thank you. This milestone belongs to all of you. Here's to how it all started. And here's to everything still to come. The future of DPRS Media Network starts now.
All right. I love that video every time I see it.
500, man, that's congratulations.
Yeah. Before we get started, I did want to give a big shout out to everyone that's helping us to create this, especially the new wave of vendors that are coming on board. We went from just having a handful of vendors that were personal friends of mine, and where I was like, hey, I need some help building this thing. It's heavy. I need some help lifting it. Now we have 28 vendors after only reaching out for about a month that want to step up and help us build this for the Parks and Rec community. So that's a lot of firepower. No pressure on the team.
Yeah, Aaron and Papa Jay and everybody else, you all heard that too, right? Just making sure all the other show hosts heard.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we have to act like we know what we're doing, like we're a true media company and stuff. But you know what? The message is sound. The message is pure. And I think these guys have a ton of wisdom to share, and there's a lot of great stories. And so that's the true foundation of it. We're just trying to polish it up and make it look good. But it's hard to make something that's terrible look good. But fortunately, that's not our problem. We have amazing people and amazing stories to tell, and a lot of wisdom from all parts of the industry. And so really appreciate everybody stepping up and helping us to build this thing. All right. So, all right, Wesley, here we go. Here's my prediction. We're going to talk about staffing and opening, and my prediction is we won't get to opening.
That's for those of you that have met me, and any Bria and Jose, if you're listening, shout out to you. If you've met me, that's a pretty good bet, Greg, that we might not get past it. But also there's reasons for it, right? Even thinking about staffing, right? I'm helping properties now. Think about who's returning. Are they currently certified? Everybody wants their shifts and their schedules. We've got to get in service. There's a lot that just goes into what we experienced last year versus this year. If you think of, a sports team, the coach always tells you this is a unique experience. This one season is unique, win or loss. And I think in aquatics, we sometimes forget that. We passed our audits. No one drowned. We were successful financially. Right? Nobody's ever successfully financially. But my point is, we have to really kind of somewhat shift our mind to the pool is the same, the water's the same, the rescue tubes are the same, unless you get new cool ones. But the human experience is not. The customer might even be the same, because the residents all didn't sell their houses. They still live in your town. But the staff you had last year might return, but how you manage them can be different. So I start thinking like that all the way from my aquatic manager or supervisor or head guard or lead of a position, whatever you call them. And how are you talking to them? How are you meeting with them? How are you even setting up the expectation of you're the manager now and you were the supervisor last year? So, and I'm sure we're all doing interviews. I get interviews. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is how are you treating them on April 17th between now and Memorial Day? So their first day of being a boss is not the first day the pool opens. Right? I said it a couple weeks ago. If the only time we're talking to our water aerobics instructor is there's an echo, that means you're only talking to them in the pool. If the first time your head guard or your lead instructor or your manager is leading something, is opening the door, we got to take some steps back. So whether it's a lunch, whether it's a Zoom because they're at college, whether it's just a personality quiz, send them a book you want them to read. I don't care. I care that you start treating them like a manager or leader now, so they have the next 6 weeks to practice.
Yep. I love it. Okay. So
then we get into the next levels.
With my zero aquatics background, I'm going to ask, this is my vision of what an aquatic center is. So the director opens the door, lets all the lifeguards in, and then gets back on Instagram. And that's the end of the okay. So help me understand.
Yeah.
First of all, who are the groups of staff? The group that I'm familiar with now after doing a few shows with you is lifeguards.
Check.
Okay. So
first, I'm betting there are some people churning in their stomachs when they heard you say that, because we've all lived it.
Right.
We've been it. Sometimes we were it. We just didn't. I'm too old to have the cell phone. I had the Zach Morris big cell phone clanky thing. But we all know that's real. We know that your phone is your thing. That's why everybody loves going to the Masters golf tournament, because the celebrities don't get their picture taken. But we have all walked in and said, this is not how you're trained. But lifeguards are trained to protect and save lives. So you would think that their entire existence is sitting in the chair and jumping in. The truth is, if we're really good at what you do, the majority of your existence is sitting in your chair and actively engaging, so you don't have to jump in. And that starts at the front desk. So the other part of the position really is the administrative or guest services. Kelly K, if you're out there, I won't forget guest services. And the front. So you're right, Craig. You walk in, you open the gate, you jump in the pool. But what we can't forget is the parking lot, the turnstile, the change of the floor in the locker rooms, and then the pool. So that's where our front line comes in. Our non-lifeguards, our pool attendants, our safety staff, our whatever fun term you called them, to make sure they know they're valuable. And that's the thing I won't spend the entire hour on. But what I have learned is if the non-lifeguards feel like non-lifeguards, they're going to act like they're not a lifeguard. It is, I don't want to say vital, but it is valuable to boost up the mindset of the non-safety people. For the longest time, and maybe in some location, well, I'm not a lifeguard. What do? I just let people in. I just pick up garbage. No. If you do your job well at the front desk, you're observant of at-risk individuals. You're correcting bad behavior.
You're a first responder.
Thank you. Right?
Yeah.
Just to what we don't look at as an emergency. Well, if somebody, a bunch of me's at age 12, I won't sound my son because my son's 12, but he thinks he's 65. But if the typical 12-year-old riffraff, me, came in with my buddies, and the gatekeeper, the front desk, guest services, doesn't clock that, now we have a problem in our locker room. And they've only been in the building 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Without being stereotypical or judging all the things, that's the value of somebody at the front desk, even at age 15, 16, 17, who can go, that doesn't look right.
Yeah.
I've been taught to know what doesn't look right.
Yeah.
And so that really, if you're going to get down to it, and that's what we're here is to get down to it, is that's what helps the lifeguard, is having those measures so we don't just sprint in the pool. Yeah. So that the lifeguard can actually be observant in their zone when they're walking to and from the stations, when they're rotating, and they can clock, I call it clock, or review things that could be challenging. So you got your front desk, your guest services, your lifeguard, and then the middle. You have usually a head guard or a daily supervisor. And I call them, again, I'll reference my age here, but this is my fourth Roadhouse Patrick Swayze reference this week. But they are the bouncer. I am the cooler. The head guard is the middle bouncer. They're the ones to keep everything cool, everything calm, everything collected, and then respond when it gets real big. So you always want to have that middle management level that I'm not a lifeguard, but I also don't do payroll. So I'm somewhere in the face of the pool. Most of us will call it a head guard or supervisor. And that's who your members know. They know the person taking laps every day. They don't know the lifeguards as much. And they might not know the person checking in, but they sure better know the person in the khaki shorts walking the deck. And that's your mid-level manager. Yeah. So there's a couple spots for sure.
I have a good example. This is a true story. It happened to me when I took all the kids to swim lessons at our neighborhood pool. And I was good friends with the coach, and it actually wasn't swim lessons. It was swim team. So they were just working out.
Look at you knowing Aquatic World, by the way. Keep going. Yeah. Don't sell yourself short.
So he was like, Craig, why don't you join us? You're just sitting there. And so I was like, okay, well, I haven't swam in a while. And so I started doing basically what a swim team does. And then about halfway through, and I hadn't swam in a long time.
Yeah, I got it.
I got out and I went and sat on a chair, and my first responder was the lady in charge of making the hot dogs and the chips and all for all the kids and parents that weren't swimming and stuff. And she comes up to me, she's like, "You don't look okay. You look dehydrated or something." And I'm thinking, dehydrated? I just got out the pool. And I was like turning colors and stuff.
Yeah.
And so she was my first responder, and she was in charge of concessions.
Who gives water more? I'm going to say this wrong, but there's a better chance of somebody from concessions giving water than a lifeguard sitting in a chair. And if I've already given you water once, I know what you look like when you're healthy or okay. Now I also know what you look like when you've been sitting in the sun for 6 hours and you come up to me again. I said, "Didn't I see you with your kids at lunch?" And they look like you did, bright red and dry, and sun, the skin and the talk is and dry mouth. But if I've never been taught at the front desk that my job is important to be that observant, then I just handed you another popcorn.
Yeah.
Now, are we going to catch everything? No. Are they going to be perfect? No. Am I saying to send them to, observational, O's the mentalist training? No. What I'm saying is go beyond the checklist. What I'm saying is when you start talking to your supervisors and your managers now, tell them how important it is that they make those employees feel good.
Right.
Quick anecdote, and I promise we'll get off staff, but I was interviewing somebody for an aquatic manager position for a village. And he told me that he remembers when he got promoted in one of his other locations, and he played it off. He's like, "It was a random Tuesday." And I stopped him. I said, "It wasn't a random Tuesday. You remember where you were and how you felt when you got promoted and when you got a phone call from your boss that says you're going to move up." And he got teary-eyed and we cried. We were over Zoom. It was an interview. I said, that's the feeling we need all of our frontline employees to have the day they start.
Right.
They don't need to wait for a promotion, especially in guest services or housekeeping or the staff that's in charge of cleanliness or towels. And they fold towels. Well, first of all, I have a torn shoulder, so I can't even do their job anymore because my arm doesn't work. So credit to them. Number two, everybody needs a towel. Those are the people, I said it before, treat the nurses right. From my mother and Patch Adams, this is the same philosophy. If that means an extra webinar, if that means an extra cup of coffee, make sure that non-lifeguards, non-safety people understand that you as a leader see them as equals. It goes a long way for sure.
Yeah. And so I kind of look at it similar to how a firefighter comes up with the fire truck and all the stuff. And they come to, they see the person kind of drowning if they're the lifeguard. But everybody in your building should know what a fire drill does. Everybody exits the building, has their different, rally points or wherever they meet up. And everybody can and should know where the fire alarm is and the fire extinguishers are, because you're the front line until the firemen show up. And
Brother, we're going to have some guests on here in a few weeks that specialize in practicing emergencies with their local fire department. They have created, I don't want to say national standards, but national goals based on how some of these organizations do it. I'll shout out Joey Rusnick, Kelly Martinez. There's so many other experts in the country that take the time, that call the fire department. Maybe they give them free guest passes. Maybe they do family days. I don't know. But the fire department comes at 7 a.m. with the team there and says, let's practice opening gates. And it's not to lifeguards, Craig. And you're right. Because the fire department's coming to the front door or to a side door. Right. And if all my lifeguards are running to the gate, I don't have anybody clearing the pool. So whether you fold towels, whether you make French fries, whether you check tickets, the understanding of your role in an emergency is so valuable. And lastly, I'll reference the Medical Fitness Association, my friends David Flinch and Andy Graham, and my work with MFA. That's where the F from MFA comes in my title, fellowship from MFA. That's their entire model. You can't be a medically based certified facility if you don't have a written plan that involves multiple departments. It's a requirement. And you have to have 3 written responders. And most places indoors, as we learned before, don't have 3 lifeguards on duty at once. So by design, you have to involve fitness or massage or personal training or kids center or whoever, because in order to achieve a certified medical fitness certification, you have to have it written in writing how another department is going to come help you in the pool.
Yeah. You know,
It's
this
crazy.
reminds me of a show that I had with a state park ranger out in, I think it was Washington, and they have these, you know, where if someone will get lost on this, you know, 100,000 acre piece of land that they're
Mhm.
over. And so then they're lost. They call the authorities, and the authorities show up with the drones and the dogs and the search teams and the helicopters. But the first person they go to is that local state ranger that knows the lay of the land, knows where the trails are, knows the topography. And so,
The concierge.
yes, so a fireman may know how to save somebody, but he doesn't know your facility, doesn't know the building, doesn't know where the person is. Like they need a local guide to
Mhm.
show them, and that can be the person holding the towels can show you where the swimming pool is at, can show the fire department where the swimming pool is at. So I think having every person that, you know, wears the title of staff, you know, needs
Yes.
to be trained on, you know, how to handle when the fire department walks in, you know, how to show them to the place.
There is nothing more rewarding than being able to tell somebody how you save someone's life.
Mm,
Nothing. And I mean that I have 2 children, I have a lovely wife, I loved the Cubs winning the World Series, blah, blah, blah. But when you can turn to somebody and say, "This is how you save someone's life," and they aren't a lifeguard might actually be able to tell you how they did it. I
mhm.
use the mask, I use somebody who's not trained and doesn't know. But you unlocked a door. You held the door. You used the phone properly. You excused the hallway. You did your job in this one way, and that sped traffic up by 10 seconds. That made sure the fireman didn't slip. I mean, so many things. But
Yeah.
turn to somebody and say, Did you know that this task, this little thing, really actually saved someone's life?"
Yeah.
And they go, "Well, I was just what? I was just doing my job." Ah, how many people don't just do their job?
Right.
So that's another back click. If you're like, why is Wes gargling about this? Why are we wasting time on this? Because you have, as a leader in this industry in Parks and Rec, the ability to change their mind. Be Oz behind the curtain. There you go, Nicole. If you're listening, be Oz behind the curtain and teach the staff how they can have value with just a few actions and trainings.
Yeah, and when it comes to life savings, it's a matter of seconds. And how often do you hear? Maybe this is just a Hollywood thing, but I'm sure it's based in reality. Like, man, if had only we gotten here sooner.
2
And
minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes. There are countless statistics. I will get a guest on here who will not flub them on if you get the AED on in 1 minute, if you get the ambulance there in 3 minutes, if you find them in less than 60 seconds. Craig, it will scare you how much of a science it is to the time.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because I
frightening.
mean, if you get there immediately, it's super high probability. But if you let someone drown for an hour, well,
I want to
obviously
say
we know
it's
with that and
I
everything in
want to say
between.
it's 10% for somebody's way better. And I apologize. There's a lot in my head. I want to say it's 10% every minute.
Wow.
It might even be more than that, but every minute you lose 10% of brain capacity. It might even be more or faster. But if that just starts the conversation,
Right.
so 3 minutes is 30%. And again, I'm not even quoting myself. There's more, but just as a frame,
Yeah.
there's 2 minutes and 20% of your brain is gone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but the idea of that's the value, we talk about staff, that's the value of being able to, as a leader, get ahead of it before Memorial Day. In your in-services, in your interviews, in your trainings, talk about it now so that when it's 108 degrees out and we're all exhausted or it's rainy and cold, you've set the foundation for that type of discussion and expectation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And none of that
Yeah.
had to do with certifications. None of it had to do with regular required lifeguard stuff, Craig.
Yeah.
It has to do with how we teach the team to believe they're valuable.
Right. And I think the whole point of this, or at least what I'm seeing unfold in front of me, is when we talk about staff, we're talking about everyone, not just the lifeguards. I mean, we're talking about everybody that walks in that door.
One of my rules is if you can hear the radio, well, I don't have a radio. I don't have a radio. Yeah, but you can hear my radio, right? Yep. Well, then you're in on it. If
Yeah.
you can hear you can hear the music on the loudspeaker, then you're in on it, right? And so that's my catch-all. So when people don't want to do it or they're hesitant, because that happens, Craig, that's real life. I was here to do this job, not respond to an emergency. I only work 8 hours a week. Why should I? Or I have to ask my board or my trustees to get approval to budget it or to make time for it. All legitimate. My response is, if they can hear the emergency call, they can be part of the emergency plan.
Yep. All right.
That's my rebuttal.
So here we are at the 34-minute mark, and
Shock. We got the staff kind of.
We're starting the staff conversation.
Right.
All right. Well, during our break, we are going to give a big shout out to Outdoor Link and the National Academy of Athletics. And I got Aaron to actually write me what he would like to be said. So I'm just going to read it. Hold on, let me pull that up. Okay, so now the National Academy of Athletics is owned and operated and is like the brainchild of Aaron Locks himself. And he is the host of the Youth Sports Mastery Show. And so this is what he said. It says, looking for a great way to keep your kids active, learning, and having fun. The National Academy of Athletics has you covered. From after-school sports programs and PE classes for elementary schools to recreational youth sports leagues and unforgettable summer camps, we create positive, high-energy experiences that help kids build confidence, skills, and a love for the game. And it's not just for families. If you're ever thought about getting into the youth sports business, this is your company. With the National Academy of Athletics franchise model, you can bring these impactful programs to your community while building a business that truly makes a difference. So whether you're a parent, educator, or a future business owner, visit the National Academy of Athletics. That was cool. That was way better than what I usually describe.
Good. This is why we talk about Aaron in the way we do.
Right. Okay. And then big shout out to Outdoor Link. I mean, a lot of love goes out from the DPRS family to them. They have been fueling the growth of this media company since the beginning. And so as I spoke about before, if you have a smart home, did you know you can have a smart city? And so just like your home is interconnected to everything on your cell phone, every light switch, every air conditioning controller, the garage door, imagine having the same amount of control over your gates, your doors, your lights. Anything with electricity can be scheduled and controlled through Outdoor Link's platform. And it's only $950 to control like an entire sports complex, all the lights and stuff. And so it's insane, because I used to be in that industry a lifetime ago, and we were talking about tens of thousands of dollars to do what they're doing for $950. And they bring their own cell signal, so they're not dependent on your local Wi-Fi. It really is an amazing company, an amazing product. And I'm a personal user of it. I've actually helped install some of these when I was a younger man. So if you'd like to learn more, Dave Ramirez, he's the host of the Monday show. You can find him on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to me or Wesley or any of the shows. We all know one another. So we'd be happy to get you in touch with them. So Jovi, why don't you go ahead and play the two promos for those two great sponsors, and we'll come back and try our best to start a conversation on staffing.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the daily Parks and Rec show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
They say it's just rec. Just rec, where kids learn to try again. Just rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs, we're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
All right. So I did want to mention, I got a hack for you to get a free outdoor link unit, that $950 unit. If you go to their booth at any trade show, I've seen them raffle off a free one to somebody in there. So if you're a director, just go in there, go talk to Dave or Jason or Joseph or any of the, Craig or Joseph, or if you see Tasha there, and just tell them you want to enter your department in. And I've watched them give away one every one I've been to. So I think that's like a common thing. I need to ask Dave, but that way you can get an outdoor link one for free. And then also every once in a while, Aaron will give away a free franchise, which is like worth $25,000. I think they ran something earlier this year. They gave away one to anyone that was in the military that wanted to do it. So, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Wow.
They some good work. All right. So back to staffing. I've got lifeguards, administrative, parking lot. What is a turnstile? I heard you mention that.
The turnstile, the gate clocker, the thing you push through to get through the gate and
Oh,
clock
yeah,
somebody
yeah,
people
yeah.
in there.
So that's like the greeter, somebody at the front desk and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you don't have a turnstile, how are people getting into your locker room, pool area? Is it managed? Is it not? And again, those staffing and the positions of the titles are just as important. Where are they and what are they doing? But yeah, lifeguards. We haven't talked about swim instructors yet because I want to get to opening, but swim instructors or instructors as a whole could be water aerobics, water fitness, could be swimming, could even be physical therapy. So there is a teaching side of the staffing model as well. But to get open, which we'll get to, and to have people in place to meet required standards, which again, as we know, there aren't that many of them per state, lifeguard, equipment, front desk, and some sort of supervisor. And then on the mechanical side, sometimes some places need a certified pool operator, somebody who is trained, like we were talking about earlier, Craig, before we got on. You know, in the electrician world, there's stages of training, project management. Well, in the aquatics world, it's an AFO or a CPO, and they are certifications achieved to manage or operate a pool or pools, plural. So in most cases, you're going to need a pool operator, maybe not present, but accounted for.
Okay, so I have an idea to keep us on task. We are going to talk to the 50-minute mark on staffing, and then we're going to do a hard break, and we're going to shift gears into opening. That way,
Field, eat your heart out. We've been doing podcasts for a year and a half. Have never achieved this. If we do it, she's going to be so mad at us. But
okay.
So to staffing, right? So let's dig in. Now you put me on a clock. How do I get my staffing ready by Memorial Day? Let's assume our audience members are seasonal, and if you're not, you have seasonal operations from indoor outdoor. We all have in-service trainings before we open. We all have lifeguarding classes that we have to host or teach. God bless you if you have to teach them. Then we have to get all those people that went through those classes prepared for our property, our personal physical location. Because here's another tidbit, Craig. You earn your lifeguard certification, but it's probably not in the pool you're going to work. So imagine being trained on this electrical system or this training and know the rules and know what to do, but then turning around and going, but you have to do all that in this property.
Yeah.
So I have to deal with that. Then I'm hiring and recruiting and all those things. But we all know, anybody listening knows that you have a countdown date to Memorial Day weekend. What dates have you set aside for safety? And just write it down. And if you're doing safety stuff, in services, CPR, that's our safety day. So everybody wraps their head around it. I have made the mistake many times and sometimes still do of trying to get too much in. We're going to do our clinical administrative hiring paperwork. And then we're going to jump in the water. No, not for me.
Yeah.
We're going to jump in the water and we're going to stay in the water and we're going to do our water stuff and we're done. Or we have lunch. We're going to do our paper stuff, just our paper stuff. And there are some people that have gotten great at this. So I got to do my I-9s and W-2s and uniforms. Great. Just do that and talk about only that so the employee can wrap their head around it. Now I get in the water and I'm doing water stuff. Here's the thing that we miss in staffing, and I know I'm on a clock. How often do you talk about non-water stuff? How often do you take your staff, again, Craig, to your point, if you can hear the radio, you're a staff member, and make them walk the fence line? And you're going to say, well, Wes, they're a lifeguard. They're never on the fence line. No, but that's where people cut their toes. That's where dead snakes sneak in. That's where diapers get hidden.
Yeah.
Teaching the staff, the lifeguards now, that their job is beyond the chair. The chair is most important. Don't get me wrong. Saving lives. No one drowns. But there's so much prevention that can happen before Memorial Day. How many of them have ever touched your slide when it's burning hot with no water on it and just touched it so that they know what a 4-year-old is going to touch at noon when you haven't turned your slide on yet? It's weird stuff like that, but go through it. It's called the consumer experience, right? You've done it in fitness centers. Have your team go through the consumer experience. How many of your lifeguards have ever turned on the 4th shower in your shower stall after all the swim lessons? It's probably pretty cold.
Yeah.
What's that same experience like for your consumer at 2 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon when the showers are being used all day? But if you know it's cold, you can prepare for it. So yes, these are quirks and qualms and small little things, but it's taking the time you have, the staff, between now and Memorial Day and putting very deliberate thought and plan, the safety, the in-service, the service of customers themselves, right? Here's a rule of thumb, customer service training. It costs about 8 cents to give somebody a fountain soda. The cup is 6 cents. Do you know how happy that mom is when they were miserable? Here's a free soda. Here's a cup of water. Not a bottle of water. That's expensive. Tell to your staff and go, hey, at 1 o'clock today, we're going to get a free soda pop. It costs you 8 pennies. That's it.
Yeah.
It's the cheapest thing you can do. But if I haven't never thought about it, then on the 4th of July, when everybody wants, when they're, what do I do? No. I've made a pattern that when it gets free, here's your cup, go get a free fountain soda.
Yep.
Buy popsicles. We all have these tricks. The key, what I'm trying to get at is get the tricks in front of people. Now, let's get to staffing in the middle of July. Let's get to staffing in the middle of August. My rule of thumb is plan like a hotel. A hotel books 110 to 115% of its rooms. Staff 115 to 110% up. Staff 10% up. 5% are going to fail your lifeguarding class. 5% are going to forget they graduated today. Yes, that's true. I had an employee who was graduating that day, looked around and goes, where are all my friends? I was like, dude, they're getting their cap and gown. Go, leave. Like, no clue. That was that day. And they saw all their buddies were gone. 5% are going to forget they have their annual family vacation. 5% are just going to quit. Well, there's your 20% right there. So when you think you're fully staffed, you're like a baseball pitching rotation. Look at my Chicago Cubs. We thought we're not staffed. You can never have enough starting pitching. You can never have enough leadership and certified employees. If you think you have enough, find them hours. So that gets us to 4th of July. That gets us to people are quitting, people are tired. What do we do with our staff? Start defining success. And guess what? That'll segue into opening. How does a successful season look? Is it a low percentage of call-ins? Is it a high percentage of shifts filled on your own, meaning the supervisor never got called, but frontline subbing? Is success defined as nobody complained? Is the success defined as no one drowned? Have you even said the words out loud to your staff? This is how I, the director of recreation or aquatics, view success. Have you even told them what you think success is? And if you have not, find a marker, find a dry erase board. I'm using my left hand because my right arm's busted. I'm on a clock. what a successful 2026 season looks like, and then write the positions from the lifeguard perspective, from the front line, and tell them before Memorial Day how you want success to be measured. Yep. And then use that template all through the season so your staff thinks and understands what you think and understand. And that was with 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, and that's so that is great. That's actually a great opener for our opening. You know, what is it to opening?
Yes.
And I like how you define, you have to define success, because you're going to miss a target that you don't define very free. I mean, it's like blind luck, just shooting an arrow blindfolded versus define the target.
And to your point, sometimes, Craig, opening the door to your pool with a lifeguard in a chair is blind luck. And I don't mean that negatively. I mean, you look back and go, how did we get here? It was spring break 6 weeks ago. Well, we got here because somewhere along the way you had a plan. What I'm trying to teach you is put that plan in front of the world, in front of your team. Because you're right, Craig. If our only goal is to turn the gate key with the lifeguard in the chair at 10 a.m. on Memorial Day Saturday, our goals are pretty limited. Again, we have to have that goal. And many of you listening, God, I hope there's thousands of you listening going, Wes, I just need a lifeguard. Oh my God, Wes, don't you remember what it's like to not have employees? I didn't say that's not reality, but to Craig's point, you have to have the goal. You have to understand there's more to it so that you can figure out how to miss it and get beyond it.
Right. I look at it kind of like a rowing team. We like to have the image of a rowing team rowing in the same direction, on the same rhythm.
It's the poster.
Cadence. Right. And so imagine having a rowing team where everybody's rowing with one hand, or doesn't even have a paddle, or is rowing.
Or the captain's doesn't even have the mic, or
right. Yeah. And so I think that's just the importance of setting a pace, a rhythm, a cadence. And so I think a big part of that, and maybe this can be an explanation that you can give us, is what do you do right before the gate opens, right before you open? What kind of conversation are you having with your staff before you let all the screaming kids and parents in?
Yeah, it depends what's legal in my state and what I can consume to inebriate my brain. But other than that, what I really want to say is I want to tell people what we did the night before. Right before we open, I want to treat it like an athlete treats a playoff game. The Chicago Cubs are doing a podcast with the Lovable Reunion, and John Lester was on, and John Lester was a big Cubs player. And he talked about how he missed out on life and the celebrity interactions because he was so focused on his routine. But his routine is what made him the starter in the World Series and win World Series. And that's what I'm telling people is, when 5 minutes before you open the gate, you can't call back good things, we're not ready. You still got to open the gate. So what I'm doing is hey, remember what we did last week in pre-opening? Hey, remember what you did yesterday with the practice drawer? Hey, remember what you did when we did our in-service last week? Hey, remember what it was like last Saturday at 10 a.m.? I want and this is a learned thing. This is 31 years of learning. Because believe me, Craig, there was a time where we were all, hey, the gates are open, the balloons and the fireworks. And I forgot that, oh my God, we should probably be a little more ready, because I was excited. Somebody was in the chair. So learn from my mistakes and use language that allows the team to know they've done it before. And in that opening case, you've let the riffraff in before. You've dealt with the mom who lost their child, or a dad who lost their child in the first 30 minutes because we practice our Code Adam. P.S. Code Adam is free. If you don't know who John Walsh is from America's Most Wanted, John Walsh's son was abducted. His name was Adam. He created a child abduction drill and program that's free called Code Adam. Look it up. There's your free lesson from the Aquatics Life today. Go online, go to Code Adam, print the sticker, practice the drill, put it on your logo on your door, and remind your team, hey, we've done lost child before. Hey, if this school bus comes out with a bunch of 4-year-olds, we've done lost child before. Versus, hey, are you ready for the school bus? Hey, are you ready for the hot weather? Hey, don't be afraid of the auditor. Hey, we've got some it's just, and I've been an auditor. I've been an examiner. I help write some of the curriculum. So I know what it's like when you put this, again, you should be nervous a little, but it's a way we rephrase it to Do you remember how successful you did this previously? Oh, I do remember. All right, we'll go do it again.
Hmm.
And it could be as simple as cleaning garbage on a hot day or stacking a first aid equipment when they're flustered and nervous. And hey, we've done this before. So that's what I would tell people before we open the gate is we've done this before. Act like we've been here before.
All right. So Jovi, if you want to go find that, what was it? Code Adam? Is that a
Code
link?
Adam. Yeah, Code Adam is the name of the program. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jovi, if you could write that down and put a link in the show notes, that way if people,
it's free. Yeah.
That'd be
and
a
here's
good
the kicker
resource.
to that. We all have radio codes. We talk about opening. I know we'll end soon. Communication. What are we saying on the radio to each other all day long? What are we not saying? Who can hear us? When I was growing up in the mid-90s, my water park in East Peoria, Illinois, I could hear the park cops order for lunch at the local restaurant because we were on the same signal. And it was the 90s, so we didn't have phones. They could hear me trash talk my head guard across the water park. Oops. Are you using radios? And now I sing this up to Code Adam because no one wants to say lost child over the radio because you don't want to instigate or influence the abductor. Code green, code pink, code wet pants. Call it whatever you want, but practice your communication. We all practice our whistle drills. Yes, 2 whistles, 3 whistles, 1 whistle. No questions. Nobody's questioning that. I believe anybody listening practice. Are we practicing what we actually say to each other, to our parents, to our staff, when other people are listening?
Yeah.
Learn from my mistakes. Opening has a lot to do with communication too.
Okay, that kind of brings me to our next portion of it, which is okay. So it's opened. The kids are in the building. The 8-hour day has started.
Yeah.
How do you kind of manage this? What does the full 8 hours kind of look like?
Yeah. So again, things I've learned is I want to break that day up. I want to break that day up into 2 shifts if I can, 4 and 4, so I don't burn anybody out. And here's my Red Cross people and my work employment people. If you work under 4 hours, I don't have to give you a lunch break. Ooh, which means I can schedule you shorter. I can work you tighter. I can get the best out of you and you can go home. Why? Because I defined that as success at the beginning of my summer. Happy, healthy, engaged, short workers. Go. On the opposite end, I like to call them my horses in the stable. We have people that want to give 8 hours and can do it well. So you better KYP, know your people. KYP, there's a phrase, know your people. So that's what it looks like. It's breaking up the hour. Then the second part is the sun, the SUN. Where is it and how is it affecting me? In my interviews recently, I've said that the sun is a 51% dictator of our lives and the human is 49. We can have a lot or no sun, and we can have good or strong people, but it's a close race. How is that sun dictating our life today? And then the people within it. And now what am I doing to make sure you're good? Yeah, I check on your water. Yeah, I make sure the usage is up and the chemicals are good. But what I'm really talking about, do you have a 5-minute song break? Do you have an hour of music that a lifeguard gets to choose? Do you have a raffle? That first week staff, first week employees, only first week employees put their name in a raffle and they get to have lunch with the boss or do something cool to meet somebody. What are you doing to make that 8 hours feel like it's not 8 hours? So it's the sun, SUN. It's the people, 50-50. I use a clock. I'm really big on time. That also has to do with rotations. And there's a lot of lifeguarding time stuff, right? Don't be in the chair too long. Scanning 10 seconds. So the time is big in aquatics. So I use that to my advantage. And I clock things. And I do how quickly can you get your rotation done and do it well. We practice rotation time. So again, your answer for the 8 hours is break it up in times. Break it up in the sun, physical, and break it up with the people. And the last part and the Easter egg, the Oz behind the curtain is you, YOU. What tricks and tips and fun, silly things. Crazy hat day. If you think, Craig, I have not walked around a pool deck in a Santa hat, you'd be mistaken because, brother, I have. And you know why I do it? So people go, Wes, why do you have a Santa hat on? Great. Let's sit down and talk about water safety. Let's sit down and talk about whatever. You don't have to wear a Santa hat. But those are the pieces. Use the clock to your advantage. Take the SUN and the people, split them evenly, good, bad, or ugly. And then the third piece is, what are you doing? How are you making it your own fun, inviting day?
I love it. All right. So we might go over on this one, but I wanted you to answer this question for me. How do you combat fatigue, complacency, and distraction?
So unbeknownst to you, distraction is part of RID, which is an aquatic term for inclusion, RID. Oh my God. D is distraction in lifeguarding, and we have to eliminate it. And there's a bunch of other things, as well as fatigue, heat exhaustion, and a third thing you gave me. They're all in the lifeguarding book. Look at this, people. Craig doesn't think he knows, but he knows. The easy answer is get ahead of it, right? That's the cheap, easy answer. That's the service. Get ahead of it. Predict it. What are the symptoms? Talk to your team. But the real answer is, in real time, handle it like it is what it is. If you treat distraction like it's life or death, people are going to treat it like it's life or death. Distraction is one behavior. So treat it like a behavior. Train it like a behavior. Eliminate distractions. One of the things I like to do is songs. Songs are 3 minutes long. How many times can I scan my area in 3 minutes and tell me what's there? Right? Use things, cell phones, whistles, sounds, the environment. When you're distracted, I'm going to bring you back and I'm going to ask you when the last time you heard a car horn was, because I want to bring your attention back to where we are.
Right.
We're in this chair. There's sounds here. So I'm going to bring it back to my senses. So it's there. I'm not saying don't. Heat exhaustion is real. Water bottles are real. But when someone is having heat exhaustion or fatigue, treat the fatigue. Don't treat the fact that they're having emotional breakups with their boyfriend and girlfriend. Don't try to get into scheduling conversations. It's really hard. I make that mistake still to this day. But, and they say in therapy, the problem is the problem. So when you mention distraction, fatigue, all those other things, what we as managers, I would encourage us to do is get better at is this fatigue? Is this heat exhaustion? Is this distraction? And what can I address right now? And to bring you back to the moment that you're in, if that helps. And I use sight, sounds, and senses like no other. What do you smell right now? I don't know. All right, well, let's sit here until you smell something. Great. Yeah. I smell the suntan. Okay, you're present, though. You're in the moment. Anyway.
All right, so that's a wrap for our show, but what do we have? Do we have anything scheduled next week? We have a special guest?
We do. The guests don't know they're going to be the guests yet, but they're going to be. And so what the goal is to dig into the equipment, the mechanical operation, to bring somebody. I have multiple CPOs, but I'm not a jammer in the pump room. But somebody who can talk us through the pumps and the pipes and the particulars and really walk the general audience through the value of them and how to get through them in the season.
So the topic's going to be equipment.
Got it.
Purchasing, maintenance, all that kind of stuff.
All the fun stuff. And you'll have to listen to less me. So if you're excited to hear less Wes, then next week's a good show for you.
That's it. Any closing remarks for our aquatic specialists across America?
If you're in it, we are in it together. Seriously. It's April 17th. Everybody's doing lifeguarding classes. Nobody's water is warm enough unless you're in the South. Rely on each other. Call for help. It doesn't have to be me. We are all living the middle of post-spring break and pre-Memorial Day. So just take that to heart, and we're all in it together.
Fantastic. Another great episode with the Aquatics Life show. We'll be here every Friday talking all things aquatics, and we'll have some great guests coming up and some great content. Definitely go onto the YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. Share it with as many people as you can. We're still trying to open up more functionality on YouTube, and we just need more subscribers. Unfortunately, most of our people are on Facebook and LinkedIn, so that doesn't help out our YouTube channel. But go to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe.
Jose, Bria, Nicole, Tom, if you're watching, do what Craig said. Help us get to YouTube.
That's it. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for another great week with the Daily Parks and Rec Show and DPRS Media Company. Love the show, The Aquatics Life, every Friday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Y'all have a great weekend. Everybody be safe. And we will see y'all again next week. Love you guys.
Bye,
Thanks
everybody.
a lot. Bye.
It started with a shared purpose, a vision to bring people together, to inspire, to learn, and to lead. And at CPRS Conference 2026, that vision came to life. From every conversation to every connection made, this wasn't just an event, it was a community in motion. Ideas were challenged, perspectives were expanded, and leaders stepped forward, ready to shape the future of parks and recreation. At DPRS Media Network, we had the privilege of capturing it all: the passion, the innovation, the stories that deserve to be seen and heard. Because these moments don't just stay here, they ripple outward, into communities, into programs, into lives. To the organizers, the speakers, the partners, and every single attendee, thank you. For showing up, for sharing your voice, and for being part of something bigger than all of us. This is more than a conference. This is a movement. And DPRS Media Network will continue to tell your story every step of the way. We'll see you at the next one.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.